Dear friends, welcome to the second class of the series How to Transform Negative Emotions. As you remember, in the first one, I spoke about the deeper sources of our emotions. And what is the deeper source? It's our conditioning. It's the influence of material nature through the three modes, passion, ignorance, and goodness, that makes us predisposed for particular kind of emotions. And when we get triggered, then these emotions really manifest themselves. But today we go one step further, and we will discover about the 10 items through which we can change our situation. Like you may ask first, how did we get conditioned in the first place? How did we get under the influence of a particular mode of nature? Or how did I get influenced by ignorance? So why I am now depressed, unhappy, full of fear, full of anger? This is a very important question, very, very important question. So the answer is de-association. And I would like to just briefly share with you one text from Bhagavad Gita as it is. This is Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, text 22. Purusha prakriti stohi bhunkte prakriti jangunan karanam guna sangasya satasatyo nijanmasu. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species. So what we can see here in this text is that actually when we live in this world, we are trying to be happy, right? We are trying to enjoy. And we are trying to enjoy through different things that we have here in the material world. But little do we know that everything that exists in this world is full of the qualities of these particular modes of nature. I can give you one example, like a wet paint. Like my guru, my spiritual teacher, he always says that the modes of material nature, they are like wet paint. So wherever you go, wherever you touch something, be it you touch a car or a pencil or a Mobitel or a person, you actually get that wet paint on yourself. Because everything and everyone in this world is full of these qualities of material nature. So it is by how we try to enjoy in this world and by how we associate with anything and everything in this world that we have acquired this particular influence of mode of ignorance or mode of passion or mode of goodness. But don't be sad, don't be frustrated, because actually we have a big chance to change this. When you get this knowledge, which I will share now with you, you will be equipped to immediately start changing the influence which is upon you. So if you at present are suffering from the negative emotions, when you start associating with the mode of goodness, with all the people and things in this world that are full of mode of goodness, then automatically, as a wet paint, again, this will rub off you, this will come on you. And then you will also acquire these qualities of the mode of goodness. And together with this, also the predisposition for a very nice emotions, for satisfaction, peacefulness, gratitude, all these wonderful qualities that we really admire are present in the mode of goodness, together with all the positive emotions. So let's get going. And we will start today with the first of these items. So first, I can actually tell you about all these 10 items, and then I will discuss each one step by step. We may not finish today, we'll see, according to how much time I have, how much I can do, and we can continue the next time. So the first item on the list is the sacred scriptures, the sacred books. These are the books, spiritual books, books of knowledge. So what kind of sacred books are you reading? Because they're different. There are about 20 different kinds. And not all of them have equal value, and not all of them are on the same level. Then the second item is water. The different kind of water exists. You have water which is pure, crystal clear in the forest somewhere. And then you have the tap water, which is contaminated with so many things. And then you have even other liquids or drinks, which are also based on water, but have some other substances added, like, for example, wine and beer and liquor. In the essence, it's also like coming from water, so it's in the same category. Then the third item is association with other people. Also, there are so many different people in this world. So with what kind of people are you associating? Then the fourth is place. Where do you live? Where do you spend most of your time? Different places in this world. 5, time. Which is your operating time, when you are the most active, when you really get going, when you do most of your things. And not every time of the day has the same level, which is conducive for the same level of consciousness, because each time of the day is conducted by a different mode of nature. Then activity. What do you do? What kind of work you do? What kind of duties do you perform? Do you perform them? Because some people, they don't perform their duties. Some people, they even like steal or rob. So this all brings association with different modes of nature. Then birth. What kind of birth did you have? And there is another birth that you can still have. I'll speak about that later. And then meditation. What do you meditate upon? What is really the object of your meditation? And then the chanting of mantras. Do you chant any mantras? If so, what kind of mantras are you chanting? There are different mantras and they have different effects. They are connected with different modes of nature. And then the 10th item is purificatory rituals. These are different rituals that we perform in a society, usually at different times of our life, like, at birth, when one gets married, when one dies, and in between too, different ceremonies we perform. So also how do you perform them? It's important. So I will start today with the first one. So the sacred books, the sacred scriptures. What kind of books do you read? Do you read at all? This is the first question. The second question is, what kind of books do you read? And the third is, do you read sacred books? So it is important to read sacred books, but even among sacred books, not all of them are conducted by the same mode of nature. So if you want to elevate your consciousness to a higher level of the mode of goodness, and even above to the mode of pure transcendental goodness, then you need to read sacred books, sacred scriptures, which are transcendental, And the transcendental books are the Vedas. Not all portions of the Vedas, but specifically that part of the Vedas which deals with the highest knowledge, with the transcendental knowledge. So these are books like Bhagavad Gita, as it is, Srimad Bhagavatam, especially, then Shishopanishad, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So these are the kind of books that are purely spiritual, purely transcendental. So when you read these books, this has such powerful effect on your consciousness. Immediately, within the short time, you can experience, like really, it's tangible, how your consciousness is elevated. And you actually come to the level of goodness. You immediately start feeling better, much, much, much better about yourself and the world around you, about everything. Also, your mood improves, everything improves. So this is very, very important. What kind of books you read. But it also has to be regular. So that not just like, one time I read and then no more, and then I watch like YouTube videos all day, or like day after day after day after day. No, that would not work. It is important to read every day, regularly, for some time, at least, half an hour, or even better, 1 hour, or even more. That will give even much, much stronger effect. Then the second item is water. What kind of water do you drink? Or what kind of, liquid do you drink? Because I already explained before that water refers also to other liquids that we drink. So in the pure form, water, it's just simple, crystal clear water from natural source, somewhere in the nature. This is the best kind of water. It's extremely important, actually, if you can secure this kind of water and really drink this kind of water. This will help you to elevate your consciousness, to bring your consciousness to a higher level. And on the other side, if you drink, for example, impure water that has additives inside, like all kinds of additives, we know, that is not good. That is associated with those lower modes, with modes of passion and ignorance. And what even to speak if you drink alcohol, if you drink beer and wine, liquor, this is under the mode of ignorance. And this brings your consciousness down and makes you prone to the negative emotions. So you don't want that. Better avoid. Then the next item, association. Who are you associating with? What kind of people are you associating with? We all associate with other people, but who is our association? Do you discriminate? who you want to associate with. So if you want to come to a higher level, if you want to come to the level of mode of goodness, it's very important that you associate with people who have higher consciousness, which basically means with people who are themselves situated in the mode of goodness. And who are such people? These are spiritually elevated people. These are spiritually advanced people. Now, of course, you may ask, yes, but how do I know? How do I know? And yes, it's true. There are, sometimes it's not easy to discern who is really spiritually elevated and who is not, because there are so many pretenders nowadays who pretend to be very spiritual, but actually they are just trying to cheat you and get money from you. So one actually has to really see by different qualities of a person. I can actually tell you, if you want to see who is qualified spiritual teacher, spiritually elevated personality who can give you knowledge, first you have to see if this person, where did this person obtain the knowledge? So where is the source of his knowledge? And the source of his knowledge has to be directly from the Supreme Lord, from the Supreme Absolute Truth, which is, and this knowledge is handed down through the disciplic succession, which is called the parampara. And there are only 4 bona fide disciplic successions in this world, on this planet, which gives this true spiritual, purely transcendental knowledge. And so he has to be in one of those. And then the next, he has to be very loyal and faithful to his teacher, to his guru, because only in this way he can really obtain the real knowledge. And then the third one is that he actually has to practice what he speaks. So it means that he has to apply this. So he has to behave accordingly. And if he behaves accordingly, then you will see that he is full of good qualities. And there are actually 26 wonderful qualities that a saintly person, a spiritually elevated person has. If you want to know about that, then ask me in the commentaries, and I can discuss more about that. Then the next item is place. This refers to where do you live? Do you live in the middle of a busy city, downtown, where there are so many night bars and slaughterhouses and casinos and all kinds of illicit activities going on, and where the night is the day, which means that city never goes to sleep, right? People are awake day and night, and especially at night. So if you live there, then you're associating with the mode of ignorance. That's not good. It's better to get out. If you want to live in a place that is controlled by the mode of goodness, then you need to live in the nature. You better move out of the cities and you find a place, a piece of land, just like a simple, even if you have just like a simple little house, simple little cottage, you will be much better situated. And your consciousness will be so much more peaceful, guaranteed. You will be associated with the mode of goodness. So then the next item, it's time. What does this mean? It means, what is the time of the day that you are the most active? Now, again, Like mostly nowadays, people are most active either during the day, like rushing around, zooming here and there, doing so many things, 5 things at the same time. And this is under the mode of passion. Or they become alive and enlivened when the darkness comes, and they stay up all night long. And this is the mode of ignorance. So if you're one of those people, that is not very good. That actually keeps you predisposed for negative emotions, guaranteed. So if you want to elevate your consciousness and transform your negative emotions, it is important that you start to associate with the early morning hours. Early morning hours before sunrise, especially about 1.5 hours before sunrise, it's called Brahma Muhurta. And this is the time which is the most powerful for any kind of meditation, any kind of contemplation. And this is the time of the mode of goodness, when the mode of goodness predominates. So if you get up at that time, you will carry this energy with you throughout the day. And I have more videos on this topic. You can check them under the playlist, Your Individual Nature. So then the 6th item is activity. So what do you do? What is your engagement? What is your job? Or what do you do for living? So this is also important because there are beneficial activities, there are positive activities, and there are unbeneficial activities. For example, if you work in a slaughterhouse, or if you are a butcher or selling meat, or serving meat, or serving liquor in a bar, this is not good for you because this will cover up your consciousness with the mode of ignorance. The good activities are activities which are actually beneficial for all human beings and also all other beings. So performing like a service or a job which is beneficial is good. And it is important that you perform your prescribed duties in any kind of profession that you have. It's important. And it is especially conducive for the mode of goodness if you perform activities like welfare activities for the benefit of others. Even some welfare activities when you volunteer your time and your energy. This is especially good for you for cultivating the mode of goodness. And the most beneficial is if you perform some spiritual activities, spiritual welfare work for the benefit of humanity. This is the most beneficial, and it will elevate you to the mode of goodness really fast. So then the next item number 7, is birth. So we are already born, some in lower families, some in more prestigious families. But one thing that you can still do to elevate yourself to the mode of goodness, you can take a second birth. Yes, this is how it is called, a second birth. And the second birth is when you accept initiation with a spiritual teacher or a guru. When he gives you initiation, this is considered to be a second birth. Why? Because your first birth is just material birth. It's just the birth of the body. But this second birth, it's like a spiritual birth because you start yourself on the path of discovering your spiritual self. your true nature, who you really are. So this is a second verse. So if you do this, this is very powerful item, which will bring you higher towards the mode of goodness. Then the item 8 is meditation. So what is your meditation? Everybody is meditating, I guarantee you, because everybody is contemplating something. But while some people are contemplating how to enjoy and how to obtain the objects for enjoyment, like, you know, how can I get the favor of this girl? How can she be mine? How can I enjoy with her? This is a meditation, certain kind of meditation. This meditation, it's not in the mode of goodness. It will keep you in the lower mode. But if you do meditation, which is much higher, if you meditate on the absolute truth in different ways, this will connect you with the higher consciousness. This will connect you with the mode of goodness and even transcendental goodness. So meditating on the Supreme Person, on the absolute person, on the activities of this person, on qualities and pastimes of this person. He has qualities and pastimes, and this is all described in the Vedic literature, especially books that I just mentioned in the beginning of this class. Then item number 9, chanting of mantras. So what do you chant? Or what do you, speak? Do you chant any mantras, or you just say Coca-Cola? There are different kinds of mantras that exist, although in the West, maybe we are not so familiar with them, but still we are to a certain extent, because yoga, with yoga, many kinds of mantras have come also to the West. But of all mantras, the most powerful mantras are those which are the names, the sacred names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these are mantras like Om or Narayanaya or Om Namo Vasudevaya. And the absolutely most powerful mantra, which is especially effective in this time, is the Hare Krishna mantra, the most powerful mantra. And if you want to know more about this mantra, you can check on this channel a playlist which is all about the chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. There are several classes about it, so you can learn a lot about it. And then the 10th item is purificatory rituals. So every culture has some kinds of rituals, but not all of them are under the same mode of nature. Like, for example, there are cannibals in the jungle, and they have their ritual when their elders are old. They will kill them, and then they will do some ceremony, ritualistic ceremony, and then they will eat them. So this is their culture, this is their ritual. But it is in the darkest mode of ignorance. But if we want to associate with the mode of goodness, then we need to perform the rituals which will actually elevate our consciousness. And in the Vedic literature, these rituals are explained, and they are actually very important rituals. I can mention just a few, just to give you an idea. Even before a person is born, the parents need to perform a ritual to attract actually a good, a pious soul to become their child. You see, this is the whole science. In the ancient times, the Vedas contained all these scientific methods, how to obtain a very good child. So if mother and father, the future mother and father, engage in this ritual to elevate their consciousness before even conceiving a child, they will attract a very good soul, a soul with elevated consciousness to become their child. So this is like the first ritual right here. And then when the child is born, then again, there are rituals. There is the ritual when the child will take first grains. And then there is a ritual when the child gets first haircut, and so on and so on. And then there is the ritual when the person gets married. This we have actually in all cultures, right? That there is a wedding ceremony. But in many cultures, it can just become, it's more like some kind of a celebration. But here in the Vedic culture is actually real purificatory process, because all these auspicious mantras are chanted and vows are there. And it helps actually to elevate the consciousness of the bride and the bridegroom and, you know, everyone involved. And then also there is a ritual when a person dies for enabling this soul to go to a much better destination, to a much better place, more elevated place. So all these things are important. And if you start practicing this in your life to associate with these items, which I just counted now, only with those items which are in the mode of goodness, you will very quickly start developing the mode of goodness and the higher level of consciousness, and you will experience tangible difference in your mood, in your how do you feel, and also in your emotions. So I'm excited to share this knowledge with you, and I would like to invite you to write in the comments any questions or doubts you may have regarding this, because we can go even deeper and we can have a lot of discussion on these topics. So thank you very much. We will continue next week with the third class.